the pragmatic view of the obvious. And, it occurs to me that Joe Biden has become our most critical, clear, and present danger, becoming known as the appeaser, a Putin surrogate, giving them a pass on the Ukrainian pipeline. No apparent punishment for the cyber attacks on the U.S. And Putin's elevated his chest pounding, and along with President Xi out of China, threatening hitting a bloody steel wall, if we interfere in the South China Sea. We're about ready to come to blows with China and Russia. The Navy, we've got some issues over there in the South China Sea. China and Russia are pushing the envelope with Biden. Why? Because Biden's weak. And then you have to look at the Middle East. The Iranians are turning up the gas on their nuclear capabilities and uranium production. We have major issues with the open borders. I haven't seen the numbers for last month, but May was well over 180,000 of apprehensions, and that's not counting the gotaways. Higher rates of COVID-19 infection rates, and it just doesn't stop. Now Biden, they've been touting systemic racism. All of the Democrats promoting critical race theory, and we have, this is like Joe Biden has become Joe Obama. We're reliving the Biden Obama years all over again. Obama's sticking his head up out of the basement, talking about systemic racism and white supremacy and all this crap. Ignoring the violence and the protesting, murders in Chicago. His gun bill started out being pretty aggressive. It's pretty much on a downhill slide, as it always is. And for the White House to ignore Lightfoot in Chicago last week, there was over 100 people shot, and I think 18 or 20 of them died as a result of the shootings in Chicago. And Lightfoot seems to be one of the more racist black mayors in a Democratic-run city that ought to know better. The other thing that I have to really question, we're hearing a lot of pushback on starting a 9/11 style investigative committee to look into the January 6th insurrection, if you will. That wasn't actually an insurrection, but Pelosi and the rest of the knuckleheads in the I was going to say the swamp, but Biden's turned it into a cesspool, and there's just a bunch of crap coming out of D.C. In Pelosi and Schumer are the main crap slingers with this January 6th committee. She knows, they know, they have all the intel from all the government agencies that already knew about what was going on, and it was not an insurrection. That's perfectly clear. I think the main question that if Pelosi was waterboarded, would have the truth. She is not talking. She knows, and she's just grandstanding. And last week I talked about defunding Biden. If the GOPs got together and the stand-up Democrats got together, there's not a lot of them, but there are some, and start defunding, because Congress controls the purse strings. Let's start cutting these guys off. Okay, they've got budgets for this, budgets for that. Let's just start taking away all their amenities. Security, they don't want you and I to have guns. So they're pushing gun control while they're increasing their own personal security. I have a big problem with that. I'd like to know the name of the guy that pulled the trigger and killed Ashley Babbitt. uh, January 6th at the Capitol building. They know. They're not putting it out there. I mean, NSA, FBI, CIA, and, you know, all these guys know. Pelosi knows, Schumer knows. And basically what they've done is they've turned 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue into an assisted living care facility or a geriatrics ward. And the folks that are running the country, you know, it's certainly not Biden. It's not Kamala Harris. I have a hard time getting that out of my mouth. She's such an embarrassment, you know. And you know, I think the question remains at this point: what are we going to do when the threat elevates with China and Putin in Iran, and the stuff on the border, the cartel right here in southern Arizona, 200 miles south of here? We've got the Mexican border. The cartels controlling the roads. Rules of engagement for the CBP are just about as stupid as rules of engagement for Iraq and the Afghanistan war. Even going back to Vietnam, we had damned if you do and damned if you don't rules of engagement. We still have that. You can't engage and stop the threat. But I'd really like to know who's running the country. It just goes on and on and on. And now the big thing is this door-to-door flu vaccination. Who in the hell has come up with that? Look, you have to stop and look at the overall picture. Okay, what's going on? Why are they doing this? And what's the end of the game? Okay. It seems like, you know, we've had a miracle in science. The regular flu, the N1H1, whatever it is, it's gone. It's all morphed into COVID-19. And it wasn't the COVID-19 episode at the end, and the pandemic's over with. Face it, it's gone. The science on the mask mandates, the masks don't work. So why is the Medical Association wearing the mask? And why are the knuckleheads in D.C., why aren't they back to work? And why are they still wearing a mask? And I'm out and about every day in my travels. And the people that I see just go to the supermarket. Less than a third have on a mask. And they're walking through the store with their head down, shoulders slumped, shuffling their feet. What in the hell are they afraid of? They bought into the fear that the Democrats have levied on the entire country. And now the threats are coming door to door to give you a vaccine if you haven't had the vaccine. Did you ever stop to think on why they're doing experimental vaccine on kids that don't actually need the vaccine because they're not prone to catching the COVID-19 to begin with? Fauci is still running his mouth on talk show after talk show after talk show after his actual fingerprints have been found in Wuhan in the experimental lab on the COVID-19 modifications and production. Why? Why are we still having to listen to him? He still wear the mask. Okay, the science doesn't promote any of this. It's all contrary to that. And we're paying him $400,000, at least $400,000 a year, plus his perks, plus his security, plus his, you know, I mean, it's like, this guy needs to be prosecuted. And once again, you have to ask the question, why now are some of the vaccine manufacturers saying, well, you have to have a third shot. You have to have a booster after you've had 2 shots. And then we're getting back to more corrupt reporting because during the pandemic, you know, and I get it, people were getting sick, but it wasn't any worse than the regular flu at the end of it. We know that now, but it was blown out of proportion by everybody in Washington. So I get it. And the government spent a lot of money on vaccines, and now They're talking about it on national news because they spent the money on the vaccines. They feel like they can come to door and stab you in the shoulder with the vaccine. I got a hot news flash for you. Don't come to my house. Ain't gonna work out for you. So with this new reporting, like during the pandemic, if you fell off of a 12-story building and hit the ground, guess what? On your toe tag, COVID-19. Colorado, they had a county up there that was astute enough to actually do a study and look back at the coroner's reports on COVID-19. Over 40% of the COVID deaths in that particular county had gunshots. They were killed by bullets, not the flu, but they were reported as such. And this went on all across the country. It's just not Cuomo that's getting hammered on this. There's about 25 other governors that are being investigated for the same stuff. So, we're getting back to the reporting. Now we're seeing after effects, side effects of the COVID vaccine to begin with. Are they getting reported? No, they're not. We're having heart failure. We're having respiratory failure in all kinds of things. My best guess is, sitting here, my prediction is in 18 to 36 months, we're going to have a huge wave of undocumented deaths that they're not going to properly report or identify. And I have to ask the question, why are the Democrats so insistent upon vaccinating kids that don't need it, making sure that everybody on the lower 48 or 50 states are vaccinated? What's the end game? What's in the vaccine? Did they have the vaccine? If they did, there's no reason to wear a mask, or there's not a reason to wear a mask to begin with, according to the science. And Dr. Fauci says follow the science, but he's one of the biggest liars. I wanted to say he's probably a bigger liar than Joe Biden, and I can't categorically consider Biden to be a liar. He's a geriatric candidate living in an assisted care, not running the country. So who's running the country, folks? Can't you see? He's not. We're in trouble. China, Russia, Iran, and then our own damn border, and the Democrats in Washington, D.C. The pragmatic view of the obvious scares the crap out of me. Think about that. Defund Biden. I'm Don McDowell. That's the pragmatic